Jai Baba. Or friends, this is Dr. H.P. Barucha speaking to you at Bombay, and though it's past midnight, the Luck brothers are after me, and I'm going to tell you a few anecdotes in my long contact with Baba. In these 20 years with Baba, there have been days when we've smiled and laughed, and there have been days when we've cried and shed tears. Sometimes tears of joy, and sometimes tears of happiness. Well, with Baba, every minute was fluid, and every minute was changing. The emotions of different people at different times was very, very different on each day. Let's come down to a few incidents where we were staying with Baba in Guru Prasad. Guru Prasad is at Pune, where Baba used to come during the summer months. And since it was warm during these months, we'd usually have some sort of cold drinks in the afternoon, or sometimes an ice cream party. You see, most of the lovers came only in the morning, and in the afternoon, very few selected people were asked to stay with the Mandali. And in the afternoon, we really got more of Baba than in the morning sessions. Well, on this particular day that I'm talking about, it was a very warm day, and someone's birthday, some Baba lover's birthday, and he decided to give Baba and all of us an ice cream party. We were all playing cards in the afternoon when suddenly a rickshaw came along bringing a huge mold of ice cream. Well, all of us knew that the ice cream was to come on that day, and we were waiting for it. As soon as the motor rickshaw came into the compound near the gate, all of us, at least myself did, look up, and the sight of that big mold of ice cream really made my salivary glands function. The big mold was picked up and brought into the side room. In the afternoon sessions, we'd always be in the side room of Guru Prasad, where the men Mandali meet Baba. Now, when this mold was brought inside and placed very near Baba's chair, Baba asked me to serve the ice cream to all of them who were sitting in the room. So, the big ice cream mold, and with the vessel inside containing the ice cream, was surrounded by ice pieces containing salt water. The lid of that mold was fitted so tightly that I tried with all my strength to open it. And when I did succeed, the force of that lid coming out made some of the salt water get inside the ice cream. I don't think anyone saw what had happened there, but I was afraid. Now, how could I serve that ice cream in which salt water had got inside? And the first plate on the top that I would remove was to be given to Baba, naturally. So I just looked up at Baba, and Baba looked at me. Nobody knew what was happening between us two. And I took the spoon and served Baba a big helping and gave him the plate. Baba ate the ice cream and said, "Yum, yum, it's really good." And I just looked at Baba's face, wondering whether he was pulling my leg. And then he began serving out to everybody. But, and of course, I had the last bit right at the bottom. I was not going to get the salt water in it, but all the other people might have got the salt water and the salty taste. But when I asked people outside, how did the ice cream taste? They all said it was excellent. Well, I don't know, I can't call this a miracle, but I must say that Baba just felt and knew what is going on in my heart, and therefore that salt water, even though it got into the ice cream, nobody experienced that salty taste. Once we were all sitting in the side room of Guru Prasad, and there were quite a lot of people in that side room. It was, I think, in the morning session, and Baba suddenly asked everybody to leave the room. So everybody scrambled up and started moving outside. Even I got up to leave the room, but Baba gestured, "You keep sitting here, you don't move." So while I sat there, and everybody, including the Mandali, was asked to go out, excepting Pendu. And then, as soon as everybody was outside, the doors and the windows of the side room were closed. And I'm sure everybody's inside must have been very much tickled as to what is going to happen inside. And more than them, I was most curious myself as to what is going to happen. And can you imagine what happened inside? Just try and imagine. Baba wasn't going to disclose to me some secret or the other, but on the contrary, Baba just asked Pendu to bring his potty. Oh, it's so amusing to see Baba. The potty was brought and Baba used it, and everybody outside, even after the doors were open, were most curious to know what had happened inside. And I was not supposed to tell anybody of that, what had happened inside. It was really very funny for me and for those outside. At Guru Prasad, I remember Baba would call me for a day and then send me away on the next day, saying that, would it be all right if you had to stay one more day? I would say, all right, Baba, if you asked me to stay, I'd stay another day. And then on the third day again, he'd say, could you stay another day? And I'd say, yes, all right, Baba. So when he called me for a day, he'd usually keep me for several days. And when he'd call me for a week or more, he'd send me off by the first train. So on one particular time, I remember, I was with Baba for about a week, and it was my last day over there, and I was to go back to my hometown, that's Navsari. And the evening session, there were a lot of people in the main hall of Guru Prasad. And after Baba got up, and everybody shouted out, "Tar Meher Baba ki Jai," as usual. And Baba was leaving slowly, holding on to Irwin. He was getting into his room, and all of us were just craning our necks to have the last glimpse of Baba. And I was crying within my heart as to when I'd see Baba again, because that was the last day for his darshan in Pune. And then I wouldn't know when Baba would again call me. And while I was crying within myself as to when I'd see Baba again, Baba suddenly turned at the back, looked at me and gestured, "You come here tomorrow." It was such a loving gesture. Baba knew what was going on in my heart, and he asked me to see him the next day again. I'd like to talk to you something about obedience. You may have read in Listen Humanity many things that Baba has said about obedience. You may have read Baba's discourse on obedience and the different types of obedience. But to know what real absolute obedience means, one has to live with Baba to know that. I give you an instance. When one afternoon at Guru Prasad, I was bending over my zip bag and I was taking out something from it, and then I was bending down and closing it. Well, a zip bag is about that size. My zip bag was about that size, and I had closed it halfway when somebody tapped me on the back. So, with one hand on the zip, I looked up and it was Baba. And Baba gestured, "Come on." So, in the movement of getting up, straightening up from there, I closed the zip. Baba said, "That is disobedience." What is meant is that when Baba said, "Come along," I should have left my hand from the zip and walked away with him. Instead, I closed half the zip that is open, which was a disobedience. It is a very minor point, but yet from such small things one learns with Baba what real obedience means. On another occasion, Baba had asked me to stay late in the evening because some movies were to be shown to the Mandali. So, at about 7 o'clock in the evening, in the main hall of Guru Prasad, Baba was seated on a chair, and the main Mandali sat in front of him, and the screen was this way. So Baba, the main Mandali, and the screen. And Baba said to the male Mandali that nobody should turn in the back, because the women Mandali would be standing immediately behind Baba, and Mehra was to stand near Baba. Well, I was seated just near Baba's chair on the ground, and as soon as the movie began, the lights were switched off, and the women Mandali came and stood behind Baba. Now, if Baba, just imagine here, Baba is seated here, and I'm seated right down there. As soon as the movie began, Baba began watching the movie, and at the same time, Baba began twisting my ear, poking me, trying to tickle me, and trying all sorts of tricks in order to see whether I turn and see him. Baba had given a small order, "Don't turn at the back." And here, during the 40 minutes that the movie lasted, Baba tickled and tried all his tricks in order to make me look at the back. But I just refused to look at the back. When the movie was over, Baba said, "Here is a small order that I gave of not turning at the back. And a small order has just the same importance as a big order. You needn't have big orders from Baba and then obey or disobey them. Even the smallest order must be obeyed implicitly, 100%, without using your brains." I used to always wonder how Mehra would love Baba, because Baba would always say that Mehra loved Baba as he should be loved. And he's often said that she's the only one who loves Baba as he should be loved. So, I really wonder how Mehra would love Baba and how her love for Baba would differ from our love. While Baba was alive, we were not allowed to talk to Mehra, and Mehra never came out in public. And so there was no chance for me to ask her how she loved Baba. And therefore, I asked one of the girls from my town, to ask Mehra. And at that time, Mehra was talking to some of the Westerners that had come there. And she quoted a particular incident when one day, while Baba was alive, at Mirzad, someone brought a very nice white horse. That horse was brought inside, near Baba's bungalow, and Baba came out to see it. He patted the horse, called the women Mandali, and said what a beautiful horse it is. And Meera, who always liked horses, was standing just beside Baba, watching that beautiful horse. Then, all of a sudden, Baba asked Meera, "Ride the horse." So, Meera was telling the Westerners that as soon as Baba said this to me, I ran inside the bungalow in order to get a stool so that I could climb onto the stool and get onto the horse. When she brought the stool outside, Baba said that his order was broken. Baba had asked her to climb onto the horse, and she went in to get a stool instead of climbing onto the horse immediately. So, just when Meera was repeating this incident to the Westerners, I really felt within my heart that if Meera, whose love is so perfect for Baba, could even disobey Baba, not willingly, of course, just without even thinking that she was disobeying, she went in to get the stool. If she could even disobey Baba, then what about people like us? In short, to obey Baba 100% is extremely difficult. I give you another incident. It was during the East-West Service. Many of you must have been there at that time, and you remember that a big stage had been erected behind Guru Prasad bungalow, and there was a huge awning where 5,000 chairs had been put up, and the Westerners were seated in front and the Easterners at the back. Well, before the East-West Service started, Baba had called some of us workers to finalize all plans and working conditions there for the people who were to come. And I was in charge of the medical department. So, between Guru Prasad bungalow and the main gate, we had erected a small tent where we could dispense medicines to the Baba lovers who were ill. While we were doing all this, Baba one day called me before the service started and gave me a very small order. And that order was, Baba said, "While I am seated on the stage during the meetings, you should not leave the awning and go out." It was a very simple order that Baba gave me. And I said, "Yes, Baba." Well, the East-West Service started. And as soon as Baba would come onto the stage, I'd leave all my medical duties, come and stand, just leaning on one of the bamboos of the awning, and would see that I would not step out of the premises of the awning. Now, on that particular day, it was very, very warm, and the Westerners not being used to this hot climate, one of the boys suddenly collapsed on the ground due to the heat. Well, as soon as he collapsed and fell on the ground, the first thing that occurred in me was to go and help him. It was just a natural thing. I rushed and went on the scene and tried to awaken that boy by giving him a little water, but he was completely knocked off. So, well, the next thing to do was, instead of disturbing the whole meeting, I thought the best thing would be to pick him up and take him to the tent where we had all other aids for resuscitation. So we picked him up. 2 or 3 other volunteers helped me, and I picked him up also. And we took him outside the awning into the side room of Guru Prasad bungalow. There I tried to give him some medicine, but he did not respond. And so I thought I'd check his pressure, blood pressure. And therefore I ran towards the tent where all my equipment was kept. And that tent, as I said, was between Guru Prasad bungalow and the main entrance gate. When I was halfway between the tent and the bungalow, it occurred to me, Baba had said, "Don't leave the awning while I am seated on the stage." Now I was in a dilemma what to do, whether to go back to the awning, or if I went back to the awning, that boy would be neglected. If I had to go to the tent, to the medical tent, and tell the doctor on duty that there is somebody ill, it would be disobeying Baba. I just didn't know what to do. But then I felt the best thing would be to tell the doctor that somebody is very ill in the side room of Guru Prasad bungalow, and then I'd rush back to the awning. So I ran up till the tent, told the doctor on duty, and immediately ran back to the awning and stood exactly where I had been standing. Baba looked up at me, and just a glance from him, and of course a lot of darshan program was going on, and he got busy with the darshan program. In my heart I began to feel, why did I leave the awning when Baba had asked me not to leave? And my mind reeled and reeled and reeled, and it worked at such top speed. I was repenting for having disobeyed Baba, and that repentance became so intense. I just can't express how intensely I was sorrowful for having disobeyed Baba, and such an easy order, don't leave the premises of the awning. Well, I felt so sorry within my heart. And just at that time, Baba did this to Irwin, just gestured this way. This is the second sign called the doctor, that's called me, because this means feeling the pulse. So, as soon as he did this, Irwin looked up where I was standing and said, "Baba's wanting you." I rushed up onto the stage. While other people were taking darshan, I bent down to Baba, and Baba said, "What are you thinking about?" This is a sign for what are you thinking of. And I said, "Baba, I disobeyed you. I left the awning because of that boy, and I'm feeling very sorry for that." Baba said, "Don't worry, go back." So I went and stood again over there, but my mind would not be at peace. It reeled again and again in the same thought, why did I leave the awning? Why did I not obey Baba? It was such a simple order, and still I disobeyed Baba. And I cried and cried and cried within myself. And this went on for another few minutes. Again Baba looked up, and he did this and said, "Come here." I again came up on the stage. And Baba says, "What are you thinking about?" I said, "Baba, I'm still feeling very sorry for having left the awning." Baba says, "Don't worry, I'm telling you don't worry, go back." And I again went and stood there. But my mind was just up to mischief. I felt so sorrowful. All the program over there was just blank in front of me. The only one thought, I had disobeyed Baba. I just could not get that thought out of my mind. And the third time again Baba said, "Come here." And the third time I came onto the stage, and this time Baba never asked me what I was thinking about, because he knew what I was thinking about. But the only thing he did was, he just touched my hand. and I went back from the stage. And do you know that as I went and stood over there, the very thought of that incident simply vanished from my mind. And I tell you truth that when I reached my hotel in the night after finishing off all my medical duties, it was past midnight. When I got into my bed, it was only then that the thought of that boy came back to me. Till then, I never even thought of that particular incident and the repentance and the sorrow and all that which I was feeling just vanished with Baba's touch. Well, this was talking about obedience and Meher's love for Baba and how we learn what real obedience is by living with the Master himself. I quote to you a few incidents about Meher's love for Baba and how her love for Baba differs from our love. At the East-West service, many of you were there, and I was standing just near the stage. And there were several people seated on the stage. Irwin was there, Maharani Shanta Devi was there, and Baba was there, Adi was there. And at that time, if you remember well, Baba had severe pain in his neck. And I'm not very sure whether it was the East-West service or the 1965 meeting. I think it was the 62 service only. Well, at that time, Baba had cervical spondylosis and had excruciating pain in his neck. He used to wear a collar. Dr. Ginde and other experts used to do their best to relieve Baba's suffering, but it was relieved only to a very little extent. And every movement of Baba's head was just causing severe pain to Baba. And I know as a medical man, because I've seen Baba's x-rays, his cervical spine x-rays, that the degenerative process in the x-ray I saw Baba, I've never seen in any man till now. In all my years of medical practice, the degenerative changes in Baba's cervical spine were just simply tremendous. And the pain that those degenerative changes must have caused Baba can only be imagined. Now, while this service was going on, Baba was seated on the stage. I'm trying to tell you how Meher's love differs from our love. While Baba was seated there, and there were so many people watching Baba, Adi was standing just behind Baba and was talking to Baba. While Adi was bending down and saying something just near Baba, and because he was standing a little behind Baba's chair, Baba had naturally to turn a little to hear him and to answer him. Now, 5,000 people were watching this. At the same time, Baba was giving darshan to all the people who were coming there. And while Baba was talking to Adi and replying to whatever Adi was saying, suddenly Meher and the women Mandali, as you know, they never stood on the stage, they never came and sat in front on the chairs. They were always in Guru Prasad Bungalow behind curtains watching Baba, peeping at Baba from small holes behind the curtains. And Meher, who was stationed behind Baba's chair, far back, she sent word to Irwin, asking Irwin to tell Adi to move in front so that Baba would not have to turn his head, and thereby Baba would not have to suffer. I mean, as soon as Irwin told Adi, please move in front and talk to Baba from the front and not to the back, it just occurred within me how much Meher loved Baba, that every suffering of Baba was her suffering. And here Baba just turned a wee bit, and even that much must have caused Baba so much extra suffering that only Meher, whose love for Baba is really perfect, responded to that suffering, and she asked Adi to stand a little in front. There is one incident that really touched my heart during that meeting. During that same meeting, I remember one day, Meher again sent some message to Irwin from behind the curtains, and I was wondering what was the message again. And the message this time was, change the pillow behind Baba's. So Irwin got another pillow, and he asked Baba to bend forward a wee bit. While Baba bent forward, Irwin picked up that pillow and put the next pillow in its place. As soon as Irwin picked up that pillow, my heart really sank, because that whole pillow was drenched with sweat. It was only Meher, out of the 5,000 people watching Baba, could feel that Baba's pillow was completely drenched and it needed changing. Her love for Baba is really unique. Another time, at Guru Prasad, Baba was going for house visits to the houses of Baba lovers. And I was accompanying Baba on these visits. But Baba had said that he would not visit any house that was on the first or the second floor.